That let me tell you about the block first of all. Yeah, in the block, if you cause aggravation in the prison, they take you down the block, right, and you cause more aggravation in there. There's a trained officer there, right, that trained to give you an injection. They don't just phone up the hospitals, they come over. There's a trained officer there. So he throws a jab in you, arse, legs, arms, wherever he throws it, it's going to paralyse you. Paralyse all your body. You're aware, but you can't do nothing about it. You can't even scream, you can't shout. Every muscle in your body is just out of it, yeah? So you're looking around and you can see him smashing you to pieces, right? You can feel it and everything, yeah? And then they straitjacket you up, put a straitjacket and throw you into a padded cell. A padded cell is a cell that's got everything what I just said, all padded around the walls, ceiling, everything. You've got a little window in there that you can hardly breathe. There's not hardly any oxygen in there at all. So you can imagine being in a straitjacket, tight as anything, you can hardly breathe. And people have been known to die in there, right? It's quite easy to die in one of them places, yeah? Especially in a padded cell when you've got a straitjacket on. They might come over an hour later and undo it and let it go, yeah? Right? But first of all, you're in a straitjacket, they put you in there, yeah? But when you're out of it, they come in, right. My friend of mine, Jeff McIntyre, or I'm not quite sure it's Jeffrey or Clive McIntyre, was doing the IPP. Leslie McIntyre was my best pal, I get mixed up with the brothers, yeah? But it was either Jeff, I think it was Jeff in it. He got an IPP, right, and he was not guilty of what he done. So therefore he's against everything, he's against the system. But he's done 9 or 10 years of it, he just gets fighting the screws all the time, always getting put down the chokey. This time he went over the top. He bashed a screw up in a bad way, done him with a jug of water and everything, but really done him bad, yeah. So when they come along the screws, the bell went, they come along, team man, he buckled him up, took him down the block, and they kicked him to pieces, and they put a straitjacket on him. Then they jabbed him, they jabbed him up before that when they took him down the block. They jabbed him up, professional man, jabbed him up, boom. They kicked him to pieces, yeah. Put a straitjacket on, threw him into the padded cell. But not only would they kick him to death like that, they did kick him to death, yeah, because what happened, they broke one of his ribs, or some of his ribs, and it went into his lungs, and he couldn't breathe, So the worst thing about this padded cell, they've got maybe a little window there, it's little plastic window, one window, yeah, and he can't hardly breathe. And it's worse having a straitjacket on. You can imagine tight. He's got his ribs gone into his lung. He died. It was what a terrible death, mate, to be strapped up. You can't move, you can't breathe, and that's it. And you're screaming, and you're just in a bad way. Don't forget you've been jabbed up, so it's very hard for you to scream, yeah? And in the morning, they come in, they left his straitjacket on all night, They shouldn't have done that. They come in the morning, boom, dead. His sister sued the prison service over it, and what happened, it was all videoed and all this, that and the other. And she won the money and this, that and the other, for her brother, but he died. But he was not guilty of the sentence as well, Anyway. This Axel RUDAKUBANA, when he threw hot water over a prison officer, right, he's gonna get the biggest beating of his life. That also you'll have a trained prison officer that come along, jabbed him up straight away, right? So they'd have bashed him up something terrible. Because they bashed him up something terrible, they'd have put a straitjacket on him and thrown him into a padded cell, as I've just said, what they've done with my mate's brother, yeah? When you hear that they broke his ribs and they broke his arm and all collarbone and all that, well, to me, I don't think they did that, yeah? Because if they'd have done that, he'd have died. He'd have died in the padded cell, without a shadow of doubt. If they broke his ribs and all that in a padded cell with a straitjacket on, he'd have died. He wouldn't have lived, mate. He couldn't live. He couldn't have breathed. Broken his ribs. You know, this can't break the ribs. It's going to go into the lungs or whatever it is, yeah. But they battered him. They smashed him to pieces. There's no way. Maybe they took him out and put him in his cell. There's no way that the government comes along and goes, "Are you okay?" And you look at your face and no, it doesn't work like that. You know, you got to see a doctor. Must see a doctor when you come out of the padded cell. You've got to see a doctor. You must see a doctor because the doctor is in charge of you when that happens, because the jab's gone in you. The person that's got the authority to jab you up will phone the doctor up, the hospital up or whatever, and say what they've done, and they've got to come down because people die. You know, so they might not have broke his ribs, they might have bruised his rib, bruised his arm, but they didn't break it anyway. So yes, you know, all for this guy's sentence, RUDAKUBANA, he's going to get bashed up. That's without a shadow of a doubt. You've got to remember that he's down the block, right? And they say that whilst he's down the block, he's being looked after by certain officers down there who have got to look after his duty of care, yeah? That's a lot of coppers. That's someone like that. You've got to remember that them people down the block have got kids. They've got kids, and this man's just killed a load of children, yeah? Murdered a load of children. He's an animal, yeah? So he is never going to get it easy down there. They're going to wee in his food. They're going to do all sorts of things. Don't worry about that. They do that. It's happened to me. They just all sorts of things they put into your food. They poo in your food. He will not get. He will live the most worst life possible, and I would feel that he should be that way. He's a person that should have been hung. They should have brought back hanging for someone like that, yeah. But anyway, I'm just telling you what happens down these places. You know, when they get you down there and you bash a screw up bad, they will jab you up and they will kick you to pieces. They will not break your ribs. They done it to him. My mates, they went over the top of him. You know, it's usually screws today are not as bad as what it was years ago, right? In my times, they was all ex-MP military police, yeah, and they were bad. And they were really, really bad. I mean, you know, they'd kill people in a cell in the wings without getting you down the block and doing it. You know, you got to remember in them days, I mean, today it's like it's like being in the Hilton Hotel, you know, even in the block, it's like that, yeah. In my times, it was like being in a slum. It was absolutely filthy, dirty, stinking. Nothing was ever clean in there, and you had the worst possible mattresses, sleeping. You have no mattress. It was the worst you could possibly have. That was like what it was like in my times, yeah. But as I say now, it's like the Hilton Hotel. They get everything. You know, start getting tellies in cells and all that crap. It's ridiculous, you know what I mean? Anyway, bang, bang, round, good morning, yeah?